All right, this video comes to us from our new course, the Robotic Workshop, available at a link below here for 30% off. So if you like what you see, go ahead, check it out, and let's go ahead and roll those credits. All right, folks, so this section is all about textures. So this lesson is going to be an introductory lesson on getting your textures ready in Affinity Designer. Now, texture packs are big business, especially in like 3D art, but they also very much have a place in 2D art. So if you're good at textures, you can go out and snap textures from just about anywhere. So when we talk about robots, which is the focus of this actual course, robots usually are made of metal. Now, could you go out and snap plastic textures? Absolutely. So people go, well, I don't know how to make textures. The thing is that in real life, textures generally are already made for you. So the question you really have to ask yourself is, where do I get textures? What makes a good texture? And then in the next later lessons, we're going to show you how to prepare your images for a texture. Now, there's a couple different ways you can do it. I'm going to use photo textures. Now, if you're saying, well, I don't have photo textures, there are a ton of things around your house that you can snap a picture of right now that will absolutely work. Let me show you kind of what worked here. These are all items snapped from around my house from various areas. And in reality, a good texture file has a lot of contrast. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of these. So you've got some things around your house. This was a side table that was around my house. It's got some really nice stamped texture in it. Now, when you make a texture file, you want to make your texture files square. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to open a new, and I like to work in 2000 by 2000. You could go as high as 4000 by 4000, but I'm going to keep it at 2. And when you do this part, you really want then to use the piece of the image. Let's go ahead and show this image again. That is square, that is well lit. So you see this area over here that's kind of in shadow. That would not be something I would want to use as my texture, because then anything that I apply that texture to will absolutely pull into that corner. Now, this metallic brushed texture is awesome, but you see that this piece right here is poorly lit. So this one here, I probably would cut and crop. So when we prepare for texture, the way that we do this now, and again, we're going to show you all of this later. This is the metallic brushed to JPEG. We're going to come into the untitled. We're going to go to File, and you place, and you find the metallic brushed to JPEG, and you bring it in. Now, the crop tool is right here. And all you got to do then with the crop tool is manipulate it until you have the piece of the texture that you want. Now you see how this was a rounded surface. This was actually a cooking pan. So if you kind of crank this in and you make it a little more square, you're in pretty good shape. You can crop out the undesirable piece of that texture. And now you have a perfectly good base to create a metallic texture. So we're going to show you that when we get to the adjustment in the next lesson. But I wanted to show you how anything around your house could be a texture. Now let's take a look at some cooking pans. All right, we took a look at that. This is a cookie sheet. Now notice there is a pattern. Now patterns are wonderful in textures, but you got to be careful with the patterns because you see how this is poorly lit. The lines are not straight up and down. You're going to have to rotate it and adjust it to make sure that it's a good pattern. If you don't do that, it will significantly jack up your pattern. And then you can grab things like old cookie sheets, right? These are ones that have since been retired that I had laying around. But you see all of the wear and tear in there. Now, there's bad lit portions. You can see where I snapped this with my cell phone. And you can see that I overlit it over here and I underlit it over here. That's fine. You've got a really good texture right here, right? So take a look at all of the rich texture that's within this thing. You've even got some really cool areas along this top there. So kind of wrapping this up, a good texture has a lot of contrast. A good texture is evenly lit. And a good texture is one that will allow you to do a lot with it. And you do not have to go looking far for it. Every household item that you have something with metal somewhere, And it may not be screaming texture to you, but think outside the box, look at it with different eyes, and you can create your own texture pack for your robot concepts. All right, folks, let's go ahead and get into the next one. We're going to show you how to make and adjust textures using Affinity Designer. All right, we'll see you in the next one.